Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridors and the rooms lining its sides are empty, save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our foot against the floor. The whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual, though. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day. And with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll be filled once again with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Some time before we made the turn down the hallway, she has stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Probably to brace or calm herself, or maybe this is her way of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door is slightly ajar when we get to it, and from inside the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible even in this kind of hush. Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms on my lips as I call out to her friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age. But the endearing things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no signs of abating. They only grow louder. Not close to a wail. Alarming, regardless.
Are you okay?
From where I'm standing, it sounds almost like she's in some kind of pain, and it's not impossible. They do that sometimes, hiding what ails them for fear of a reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose the loo furthest from the classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait, and amble towards the door, calmly so I don't alarm her. At the same time, a distinct sense of déjà vu hits me. I've been in this position before, behind a door with someone crying on the other side. My calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me. Is the thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. I take one last breath, then I nudge open the door. It all happens in a span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffling behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat. And then, when I turn...
Kylie?
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her, words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it. Yet nothing in the manner she speaks, or the way she tilts her head in question carries the youthful innocent vibe she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it is not those that trigger a memory. It's those chilling eyes, calling, beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
All at once the memory returns to me. A tide that has receded and now returns to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, and of features I can barely discern under the little light there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the girl before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time, no blood streaming down a pale face. Thank heavens. Just lips contorted into small, twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to see in a child, sending tiny pricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck.
You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die.
I can't breathe. Those whispers and laughters again. Judging. Mocking. Taunting. Each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the top of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. A gradual, torturous descent into another bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, until I lose touch with myself and the world.
Help me!
Until darkness claims me and, unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the sick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
My eyes snap open, and the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
No anger. No vile hatred in them. Just plain, sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings, and myself as warmth steadily slips back to me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest, in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I can speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread is there, still twisting at my insides in anticipation. Of what? I am no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break off into a run, brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me, when I gently push her away on my way out, or the furrow in Luke's brows when I stumble into him outside. Whatever they both saw in my face, I care not to know. Bloody heck, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've got a few sharing anxious glances. every time a pin slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You'd think being on my fourth cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. Or is this the fifth? Egad, why does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part, after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories. A centuries-old lore passed by the locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Dawes books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from a mother's womb, or heck, there's even that one story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives there back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
A terrible thing, if true. Though that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up, and my brows knit together. Marianne McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eyes zeroes in on the book lying wide open on my table. I loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end she's given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and, well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally, I'd be done with a whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out. About 1 or 2, depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than anticipated. One moment I'm busy grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stopped showing up in her flat, right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised, 3rd-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'd lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella, superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the dang house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now. Despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is... Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things.
See things?
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This is a silly thing to talk about. Especially between, what I assume, two people who are pretty grounded in their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, all right. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now,
Whoops.
what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place is past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary, from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had built it, up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullcrap is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know? By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser, in the light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine. I'd give her that. But she's left a lot of things out. I get the sense she only asked because something's happened to her, and if she hasn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed with what we have. And if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since that place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay as I step out of the room, ready to put an end to this day. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him, without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
An ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that.
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belated, I notice his hand. Partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and toeing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air with the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. On a different front, the offer for free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie was wisely put on mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second I find all my choices slipping away from him.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun! You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I say it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. Oh, hey Becca. I'll be around Salemwell this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by, or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back into my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie. From his actions alone, I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there. But there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If, by some miracle, he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still. Tough choice, but I have to pick one. I have other things to do. Okay, but only because Kylie asked. So, go with Ashton or go with Kylie?
That's tough.
It is.
One is gonna determine the route of what happens to her. To the top.
Okay. Alright. Luke didn't like that. Though, when you look at it closely, it isn't such a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it is inappropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be more thoroughly specific, I'll give it a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie's the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be. And if there's one ugly thing about this city, it's this place's penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go? How many ears it'll reach? What if Ashton hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. being at the center of a rumor mill along with this man, in whatever form it takes, sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown in my face as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
Maybe next time. Oh.
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. The little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
Heat instantly crawls up my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on his skull.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss the chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Though I must admit, the two of them walking together, hand in hand, is an endearing sight in itself. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. What's stopping him? It's something to mull over, along with every other confusing and frustrating thing about this guy. Some other time, though. Ashton's waiting.